In this episode, we talk about the reason why Jammu has seen a surge in terror attacks and what defense experts have to say about it. We also give you the latest updates regarding the alleged NEET paper leak case. But first, we talk about the controversy involving the IAS probationary officer Puja Khedkar. Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Over the past few weeks, headlines regarding Dr. Puja Khedkar have dominated news outlets across the country.
Troubles are mounting for notorious IAS probation officer Puja Khedkar. Every day, new details emerge that inspire shock and awe.
The lies, fraud, deceit and decoy is tumbling out one after the other. Yes, viewers, we are talking about IAS Puja Khedkar, who remains defined even as proof after proof emerges of how she subverted the system using fakery and fraudulence. After times now...
From allegedly bypassing regulations and faking a disability to misusing her OBC certificate, the Indian Administrative Service has come under the spotlight all because of Puja Khedkar, who, like we mentioned earlier, is a probationary officer of the IAS.
So, a probationary officer is a candidate who has been selected by the UPSC after the prelims, mains and the interview and is in training.
That's Indian Express's Parthasarthi Biswas, who has been tracking the case for the paper.
This training is held in 2 or 3 phases. One is the rigorous training they undergo at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in Mussoorie. Then they have something called district training. In the district training, they learn what the IAS or IPS officer does. That's a hands-on training. They sit with the collector, they sit with the tehsildar, they sit with the talati and other revenue officers to see what things are happening. Then there is also something called Bharat Darshan, in which they go across the length and breadth of the country to understand what India is all about, because they will be posted in different parts of the country and they should know the language, the culture, the topography of the country. That's an important part of their training.
He says after this is over, they are sent back to the academy to undergo another set of training. And only after this are they absorbed into the services.
Then they're again sent back to the academy. They have to undergo debriefing and then they undergo another set of training. This is mostly about the constitution, about this and that. They have some examination, post which they are absorbed in the services. Then they are posted as assistant collectors or the tribal department or whichever cadre they are getting into. If it is a police officer, they will get as a DYSP and then they start their lives and then they go on to become collectors and CEOs and whatnots.
And so it is during this training phase that Puja Khedkar first made headlines.
Funnily enough, the first inkling of something was not very right happened in Pune. She was initially attached with the Bhandara Collectorate and then she somehow managed to get a posting in Pune. Pune is where her parents are. She has a house in Pune and then she started working with the Pune Collectorate. Now, her name came into the limelight and into the media when there were reports of her using an Audi vehicle with a red beacon and with the inscription of Government of Maharashtra. And a private vehicle cannot use such insignia. And that was when we came to know of this lady who is attached to the district collectorate.
And he says that soon enough, some of her other antics also came to light. These included demanding special staff, a government car, government quarters, and a special cabin to work from.
District Collector of Pune, Suhas Divse, he wrote a detailed report about this to the Chief Secretary of Maharashtra, Sujata Saunik. Prior to that, Dr. Puja Khedkar apparently had denuded the furnitures of the antechamber of the additional collector, Ajay More.
An antechamber is usually adjacent to the main room of the officer, where he typically meets VIPs and has private discussions.
So what Puja Khedkar did was, apparently, these are the allegations that were leveled against her. When Ajay More was in Mantralaya for some work, without the permission of the additional collector or the collector, she appropriated that antechamber. She removed all the furniture that was there. She got that whole place to be redecorated according to her taste and attached her nameplate outside the door. When Ajay More came back from Mantralaya, which is in Mumbai, he was in for a shock. And this was done without any permission apparently there was no permission taken for this. And then this was brought to the notice of the collector, and the collector had talked about this in his letter to Sujata Saunik, who is the Chief Secretary of the state.
And during this time, there were also talks about her father, Dilip Khedkar, who is the retired Maharashtra Pollution Control Board officer and has also dabbled in politics. He had allegedly threatened a few tehsildars
about how they should not misbehave with his daughter. There would be consequences if they do not cooperate with her. All these things somehow snowballed, and Puja Khedkar all of a sudden came into the news. Suhas Divse had sent a letter regarding this, and she was transferred from Pune to Washim. That was the first time when we started talking about this new officer who has become a bone of contention in Pune Collectorate. And then as the days went by, more and more skeleton started stumbling out of the closet.
Now, Khedkar had secured a rank of 821 in the 2022 UPSC Civil Services examination and was allotted the Indian Administrative Service under the other backward classes and physically handicapped quotas. And questions have been raised regarding both of these reservations when it comes to her. So let's tackle the physically handicapped quota first. At the moment, there are 3% seats in every category reserved for the differently abled. And this is the reason why, despite her low rank, Khedkar was allotted India's premier civil service. But what's important to note is that previously, she had been embroiled in a legal battle regarding her physically handicapped status.
Now, then what happened was that we got to know that she was asked to go for her physical examination to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and that she deferred by 6 times. Later on, she submitted a certificate, but that was issued by a private medical practitioner. Now, Puja Khedkar's plea in this matter, which we got to know later on, was that she is claustrophobic and she cannot undergo an MRI. However, then later on, she did submit a certificate issued by a private doctor, and I think that is also something which has come up now.
Now, the other issue that has made a lot of headlines is her OBC certificate. Partha tells us that when you claim reservation in IAS under the other backward classes, you have to submit a non-creamy layer certificate. Now, for those whose parents work in the private sector, their annual income should be under 8 lakh rupees per annum. People point out that this was not the case with Dilip Khedkar.
Dilip Khedkar in 2024 was the Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi's candidate from Ahmednagar, and when his affidavit was checked, it was found that he has land, he has property, he has money, he has 4 vehicles, and his total assets were more than around 40 crores or something.
But turns out his income is actually not relevant here. Because, as mentioned earlier, Dilip Khedkar, Pooja's father, has worked in the public sector. And in such cases, what disqualifies a person to be in the non-creamy layer is either of their parents becoming a Group A official before the age of 40, or both parents being Group B officials with similar ranks. And so, as far as her non-creamy layer certificate is concerned, Khedkar is in the clear when we talk about family income. But her father was a Group A official, though it is unclear whether he became one before the age of 40 or not. And so, taking a note of all these concerns and allegations, the central government formed a one-man committee.
That was the first step towards the snowballing of the whole event. And that committee was to look into her conduct, also into all these issues about her certificates and other things. And soon enough, once that was formed, Puja Khedkar by then was in Washim. She had joined duty and she had come in front of the media and said, I am ready to face everything and I do not want any trial by media. She was gracious enough to say that she holds the media in high esteem as the 4th pillar of the constitution. And she had asked people not to get into any kind of rumor mongering, and she was going to face the committee which was formed.
I think everybody can see whatever is happening, and as I said that I don't want to comment on it because media and the common public are very, I believe in the common public also, I believe in the media also, and I think everybody is that intelligent and everybody knows what is happening, and that is why I cannot comment on it either on positively or negatively, and whatever submission I have as I said, it will become public later.
Speaking of public,
before we knew what was happening, there was this letter from Nitin Gadre, who is the additional chief secretary of the state, which pointed out to a letter sent to government of Maharashtra by the Mussoorie-based institute, asking them to stop Puja Khedkar's state training and send her back to Mussoorie, latest by 23rd of July. So Nitin Gadre immediately relieved her and asked her to be sent back. By then, a lot of other things also had come out. For example, we came to know that she had applied for disability certificate from 2 hospitals in Pune, one of which was refused because it was a duplication. She had already applied onto another hospital. It was a technical reason for refusal, and nothing much should be read from it. However, in the other hospital, which is in Pimpri-Chinchwad, and that's the YCM, the dean came on record saying that her disability was minor. She had some issues with her ligaments of her knees, and it was 7% disability, and the dean came on record saying that it's not a major disability. Soon enough, the civil surgeon of Ahmednagar came out with a statement saying that they had checked Puja Khedkar and she had some visual impairment, and also she was suffering from depression. So that took her disability to 51%, and then that's how she was made eligible for the PWD disability category under the UPSC.
But questions about her disability certificate refused to die down. And while this was going on, a video of Khedkar's mother surfaced online in which she was holding a gun and threatening some farmers in the Mulchi taluka of Pune.
There was some land dispute or something. Their lawyer issued a video saying that this land was Khedkar's and they had all the land records and the land documents in place, and there was some kind of issues, and the lawyer tried to clear the air about it. Soon enough, another video came of her trying to threaten some police officers or something. And in the meanwhile, the father also came up with a video saying that they are being harassed and his daughter hasn't done anything wrong, and there was kind of a witch hunting happening against her. In the meanwhile, because of the limelight across the media and social media and other things, the police of Pune started looking into the complaints. One of the complaints was that they had used a beacon on a private vehicle and they had the insignia of the government of Maharashtra, which was illegal. They had to pay a fine. There was some fine, 25,000 or 26,000 fines pending on that vehicle, and the driver came to the RTO and they paid it. Pune police had even issued a show cause notice to Manorama Khedkar, Puja's mother, on why her gun license should not be cancelled because she was seen on video trying to threaten a farmer.
Shortly after this recording yesterday, Puja Khedkar's mother, Manorama Khedkar, was remanded to 2 days of police custody in this matter.
So overall, Puja Khedkar's first issue came to light when, because of her supposed demands, which the collector in his letter had said were unreasonable and unrealistic, and then one by one, quite a lot of things came back. By the time we knew, this whole issue has snowballed into a major controversy, and whosoever officer we have spoken to, they said they have never seen anyone being recalled such a short notice, and this does not augur very well for the services or for Puja herself.
Now, the Maharashtra government late on Monday evening had decided to transfer Khedkar from Pune to the Washim district, which lies in the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra. Partha says that when this happened, the local MLA spoke out against the move.
Who protested the transfer, saying that they require good officers in Washim. Washim is an aspirational district. It's kind of backwards in terms of HDI and others. And the MLA said, Amit Zanak said, we require good officers so that the district can progress, and they do not want Vidarbha to be the punishment posting a place for officers. So this Washim's MLA, he took strong objection to this, and they said this is not something that should have happened. If you are not satisfied with her, or if you are not able to control her, send her somewhere else. Why do you send her to Washim? We need good officers to work in our district so that our district progresses.
Now later, of course, Khedkar was recalled and her training was put on hold. But the scrutiny about her case continued.
There was a lot of questions asked in political circles, in the social circles, about the validity of Dr. Puja Khedkar's candidature in front of UPSC. And then, people underwent each and everything with a microscope, not even a magnifying lens, a microscope. And then there were some discrepancies in ages. There were discrepancies in the addresses they had produced. There might be a valid reason for all that. But, the whole thing was as if it was covered in some kind of the cloud. Everything was under a cloud about Puja. And that's why I think the central government has recalled her to the academy.
He says the entire issue has raised concerns about the Indian Administrative Service and the process through which it takes in candidates.
First question that came to everyone's mind was, did not UPSC do the necessary homework before absorbing her in the services? One of the things that I read online was that when you go for your basic certificate attestation, they ask you for like 10 or 12 documents to go through. And then how come she being absorbed in one of the most elite services of the country who are going to run the country? They are the executive, one of the three arms of the constitution. She is able to get into the services with so many question marks regarding her candidature. So there were allegations of everything. There were allegations and there were clouds of doubt cast about all her certificates. There were some age discrepancies also. So how did she manage to go through everything? How did she manage to manage the system? Is what everyone is asking about. The fact that she had applied for disability certificate and has been turned down. The fact that one district has given her a 7% disability while the other district has given her 51% disability. And most of the certificates are online. So how did the UPSC manage to overlook it? So now that the one-man committee has started its work, it has asked for reports from the Divisional Commissioner of Nashik. It has asked reports from the Pune District Collector. It has asked reports from other places. And maybe we would get to know. There are a lot of questions raised about this whole incident. And maybe UPSC or the central government would come up with some of the answers.
And next we talk about Jammu and Kashmir. The latest militant attack in Jammu's Doda district that killed 5 army personnel has once again raised concerns about the gaps in security and the challenges that the military is facing in the area. The region had witnessed a period of relative peace between 2017 and 2018, but has seen a surge in high-intensity terror attacks since then. For example, while there were 3 attacks each in the Jammu region against security forces in 2022 and 2023, a total of 6 attacks have already taken place this year. Indian Express's Amrita Nayak Dutta has been speaking to defense officials about this issue, and she joins us to share their concerns. Amrita, can you first talk about the extent to which terror attacks have increased in the Jammu region?
So, Shashank, there has been a significant increase in the number of terror attacks in the region, and it's not just about the numbers, it's about the impact. They are very high visibility and very impactful terror incidents where the casualties have been high and the damage inflicted has been really, really a lot. So if you remember, in January, former Army Chief General Manoj Pandey had acknowledged that terrorism in that area means area south of Pir Panjal, that area, it was decimated in 2003 and there was a lot of peace in the region till 2017-18. So most of the areas, the Rajouri, the Poonch and the Jammu belt, they saw a lot of peace till this long years of peace was seen in this area. And most militancy and terror incidents, they were taking place in the Kashmir Valley. However, since 2020-2021, there has been an uptick in violence in Jammu, Rajouri, Poonch. If you surely just compare the data, then just the numbers, if you just look at the numbers, then the incidents would be higher in the valley in the last 3 years. But it is the Jammu region which has seen more impactful and more bloodier attacks, because every attack has claimed sometimes 4 or sometimes 5 soldiers' lives. So it has been very difficult for the forces over there.
And Amrita, is there anything that stands out in terms of where these attacks have been taking place?
That's right. So in the area south of Pir Panjal, initially in 2021, 2022, even 2023, most of the attacks were taking place in the Rajouri and the Poonch districts. And these districts, they lie close to the LOC, the line of control. And as you know, the line of control here is vast. It is extremely densely forested. The geography, there's a lot of nalas and rivers, which makes it very difficult to man this LOC 24/7. So most of the attacks were taking place in these areas. But in the recent months, from May onwards, there have been attacks in Riyasi, in Kathua, in Doda, in these regions. So a little bit surprising is the recent attacks which happened in the Samba Kathua belt, because these are not near the LOC. These are near the IB, which is the international border. So it is understood, it is being assessed that there might have been some big infiltration in recent months from across the border, which is what would have led to the splitting of the groups of terrorists in different places. And one of the groups could have been operating in this region, which is not close to the LOC, but which is close to the IB. And this has not happened in the last 2-3 years.
And you have been speaking to defense officials. What have they been saying about the reasons behind this surge?
There would be a variety of factors, definitely. But one of the key factors which could be leading to this is that there has been intermittent stretches of peace, which has lasted over several years. And it was just that terrorism and militancy in the valley was more active. And this region, there was nothing at all. There was a lot of peace. So some amount of complacency could have crept in the counterinsurgency mindset of the forces deployed there. And this could have led to insufficient or inadequate number of proactive operations. So that could be one of the reasons. And then, of course, there was certain amount of gaps which was created in this region when a lot of forces were moved to the uniform force of Rashtriya Rifles. They were moved to the LAC, the line of actual control, in 2021, when there was this Galwan incident, months after this Galwan clashes with Chinese troops. So that led to certain gaps in the region, leading to less number of people manning a larger area. This led to an increased revisit time by every patrol. So this is one of the factors that is understood.
Right, and officials also point to challenges when it comes to gathering ground intelligence and also an increase in narco-terrorism. So tell us a bit about that.
So a lot of drones have been caught in recent years by BSF and other security forces. Drones getting in explosives, drugs, weapons, money. That shows that these kind of activities are generating funds for distribution to locals as well as to fund terror activities. So this also could have been one of the reasons. There could have been an increase in infiltration which has not been caught. And some of the officers I was speaking to, they also pointed out that there has been an increased dependence on technology because of, again, long years of peace. And it could be likely that there is a reduced ground connect, which has been known to deliver the best operational intelligence. And as a result, there could be efforts soon to reorient the operational philosophy to basic source-based counter-insurgency operations. So initially, there was a lot of dependence on the source. There was a lot of good network. I'm not saying that it is not there, but with an increased dependence on technology, this could have been affected to some extent. So these are some of the various factors that are being discussed to understand why there is a sudden uptick in terror incidents in the region.
And you mentioned China earlier. Can you talk about the challenges this poses for India, considering there have been attacks in Jammu and Kashmir, and on top of that, we have an ongoing border standoff with China?
That's right. This incident can actually pose a major challenge because the battalions that were moved from this region, they were moved to the LAC. So the uniform force, it was moved in 2021 from Riyasi and this area to LAC. Now, obviously, this led to some gaps and there is a stalemate. If you look at the situation with China, the border standoff, there is a stalemate. So it is on the forces to decide right now on whether there would be some sort of redeployment plan, whether the troops would be moved back to this region and there could be some other additional troops from some other location that could be pushed in the LAC to cater for that gap. So there is a lot of discussions, there's a lot of strategy changes that could be in the cards in the months to come.
And are there any other things that experts say can possibly improve the situation on the ground?
There could be proactive efforts to go back to old school source-based operations. So gathering details from human intelligence and, acting on them, carrying out more number of proactive coordinate search operations and launching more ground operations and developing a strong source-based and good network among the locals. That could be one of the plans which would be formulated. And there could be some redeployment plans, some moving of troops and putting in some additional troops. But even then, they will have to be first trained and they will need a large familiarization period because they would be moving from elsewhere. So this could be one of the things. There could be more efforts to stop generation of funds by curbing and by being more alert, by stopping incidents of narco-terrorism. So these are some of the things being discussed, but it could only be formulated in weeks to come.
And next we talk about the NEET controversy. The Supreme Court yesterday directed the National Testing Agency to publish the results of the NEET UG students on their website city-wise and center-wise, masking the identity of the candidates by Saturday 12 p.m. The court was hearing petitions seeking and opposing demands for a retest of the NEET UG 2024 exams over allegations of question paper leak apart from other irregularities in the results. The court said that any order for conducting the exam afresh has to be on the concrete footing that the sanctity of the entire medical test was affected. Meanwhile, the CBI has detained 4 MBBS students from AIIMS Patna in connection with the case. According to a report by Indian Express's Santosh Singh, police sources say that the 4 MBBS students were possibly engaged by the alleged paper leak kingpin Sanjeev Mukhia's gang to solve the leaked papers. The CBI has seized the mobile phones and laptops of all 4 students and also sealed their hostel rooms. The move comes 2 days after the central agency arrested Pankaj Kumar alias Aditya, a 2017 batch civil engineer from the National Institute of Technology Jamshedpur, who allegedly stole the NEET UG paper from the NTA trunk in Hazaribagh. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.